Hello! So for my lesson plan comparison, I chose two different lessons that explore Newton's first law of motion, which is a topic that I had to teach recently and something that I actually find very interesting. So I liked both of the lesson plans that I found. What I liked about both of them was that they were both organized, they were easy to follow, and they were broken down into smaller, more manageable parts. So instead of the teacher just kind of lecturing information, there was a bunch of different components that compose these lesson plans and made it more manageable and more kind of accessible to students. The first lesson plan that I looked at was from the North Georgia EMC website. One thing about this lesson plan, so it had objectives, but they were lacking in detail. So objectives should really be specific. They should address the levels of Bloom's advanced taxonomy so that students know exactly what's expected of them from the lesson. But this first one was much better than the second lesson's objectives. The second lesson I got from betterlesson.com, and it really only had one objective, which was to explain how the law of inertia applies to the real world. So if a student were to just kind of read that objective, it really wouldn't be clear to them what was expected of them both throughout and following the lesson. So you really want to be more specific with those objectives. I liked that both of them had a very organized structure. So the first one, again, from the North Georgia EMC website, used a remember, understand, apply, create structure. So again, now we're incorporating Bloom's taxonomy and addressing it directly. The second one was also organized, and it had a 5E structure. So engage, explain, explore, elaborate, evaluate. From a technology standpoint, so actually let me backtrack for a second. So both lessons, what they kind of do is they introduce the concept, they kind of go over some terms, and then they do a hands-on activity, and then they come back at the end for some sort of formative assessment or summarizer activity. From a technology standpoint, I think that they're both lacking a little bit, and I think that from this class I've learned some technologies that I might include to kind of fix this. Since it's 2021 and it's time to incorporate some technology into our lessons. So the first lesson, there was only one video. I think what I would do, there's an apply portion of the lesson where the teacher asks for everyone in the room to come up with real-world applications that the teacher can record on the board. Real-world applications of Newton's first law, that is. And I think that this is a great activity. I think it's awesome to tie these laws back to relatable things that happen in the students' lives. However, one thing that I would do is I would create more of an interactive online brainstorm board. So something like a Google Jamboard where students can go onto their Chromebooks, actually be actively participating in the discussion, and have other students' brainstorms directly in front of them to go off of and bounce ideas off of each other. The second lesson, as the kind of final summarizer activity, formative assessment, does something where they have like a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper they again write real world examples, and it's kind of like an individual poster. I think what I would do for that is I would do graffiti boards around the room, so having students actually get up on their feet, and again bouncing ideas off of each other in a more creative way. Both lessons incorporate hands-on activities, which is great, similar to the one that I used in my first micro teaching video, exploring, a penny on an index card or a penny on a roll, like a roll of something or a circle, where if you either pull the index card out or you pull the circle out, the penny should fall into a cup, basically demonstrating that the penny will not move with the object that's pulled out from underneath it. It will stay at rest, but ultimately gravity will pull down on it, allowing that penny to get into motion. Both lessons have some vocabulary enrichment. I think, Kahoot and Quizlet are both great resources for that. And overall, I think, both lessons did a good job with this topic. Again, they were both organized. I think moving forward into my teaching career, I would like to incorporate similar hands-on activities as these lessons learned. I think that's really a valuable learning experience for students, making sure those objectives are really clear, that expectations are clearly conveyed in my classroom, and then just, again, reinforcing vocabulary both within and throughout the lesson, providing those real-world examples to make complex science concepts seem more relatable and more understandable. Thank you.